Yo. Another little project here. Intake air temperature sender. The factory one is in the intake tube and it just presses in with a rubber grommet. And I need one that I can bolt in, and because it has to be on the charge side. So either I gotta bolt this onto the charge pipe or I gotta make a spot for it and put it on the throttle body somewhere, because the factory air temperature sender isn't gonna work for me. I can't put it next to the air cleaner before the turbocharger, because the intake air after the turbocharger changes dramatically. And it changes really fast too. So this sensor I think I got from an Accord. This plastic that's on here is going to make it read too slow. So there's a resistor that's underneath this plastic. I'm going to want to cut it out and get to it. And I don't have the factory plug for this to cut it and tie it into the plug I have, but I have some wires I took out of a plug somewhere, and I'm just going to use these and make it work. Hopefully I don't screw this up. Stick a flashlight in here, and I think the resistor's like way down here. I'm going to start by just cutting the tip off. I see an empty hole. I see you. There was dielectric grease on this thing. That was that white that was inside of it. And I just kept wiping it back and just plucking at this little by little until I got that little black button to stick out. And that's my resistor for my intake air temperature sender. So it's sticking out enough now to where this thing should read extremely fast, and that's what I need. I found a 1.5 inch oil pressure gauge on eBay. You know, it was really cheap. I measured this, and it was just a hair over 1.5 inches, so I just took a die grinder and I die grinded the top and the bottom kind of at an angle. So I got an oil pressure gauge now. I figured I better put that in before I do the oil turbo line, because that gauge line is going to be on the same adapter. I went ahead and wrapped my flex pipe a little bit too. I didn't really want to, because it's kind of a no-no to wrap a flex pipe. I just wanted it so it's really close to this axle, and I just wanted it so it doesn't get hot enough to melt that rubber. It should be okay, I hope. I think it's time to slam this thing back together time. I got this junk in my eBay turbo kit. They say this thread's universal. I don't know what the heck that means. There's British pipe that goes into the block, and they're saying that British pipe and 1/8 inch pipe, regular 1/8 inch pipe, is universal on this fitting. I don't believe it. I didn't like this thing anyways. I found this one on eBay. I tried to screw the oil pressure switch into here, and it screwed all the way in, so I had to grind down a little over 1/4 inch off of the thing so the compression fitting will work. And then this, I always put a little thread sealant on it, and then I put tape over that, because that seals really good. And this is for my oil pressure gauge that I hooked up. And bam, 40 minutes of video that was out of focus. I tried focusing something up here and it stayed out of focus when I got rid of it. I just hooked up my oil feed line and my oil pressure line and wiring. Really, that's all I did. I gotta put this ground on the thermostat housing, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need a ground for my wideband. That's gotta be hooked up to the same spot, because I think my wideband I'm gonna tie into my computer. We'll see. I'm gonna put this ground on here though, because I think I'm gonna need it. This ground on the thermostat housing is very, very important. These are all the silicone hoses I got left in that kit. I think I can use one of them, maybe two. I don't know. This stuff is wrong. It's probably for a D16 Y7 or something. Y8's got different intake manifolds on them. So I got some 5/16 heater hose too. I don't want to use fuel line because after a year or two it gets as hard as a rock. This stuff's really hard too. For sure I'm going to have to use heater hose on this one. I'm not using this metal line anymore either. This is for the breather that goes into the valve cover, and they got coolant running through this line to keep this hot so it doesn't freeze. And that's going to get discontinued. So I'm just going to have at it. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to make these work. This one kind of fits. It's a little goofy, but that's going to work. I won't be able to use these pinch clamps either because they're way too small. I got some 5/16 fuel injection hose clamps. These work really nice. These are supposed to slide up this metal, and it's not. It's getting all crunched. There's a cure for that though, and these don't work right. You put a screwdriver in it, and it's got no place to go. I'm going to do a little work down under. Getting that center bottom nut on the intake manifold's fun. That's an amazing mess of junk under that intake manifold. I'm going to run a PCV valve on this, and this breather's going to go into my intake. Most people use a catch can. I'm not going to do it because I just built this engine. It's a nice tight engine. I shouldn't have excessive blow-by, so I'm going to run this system the way it's supposed to be, and if I don't like it, I'll change it out. I think I'm going to have a problem with this cruise control vacuum. It doesn't want to stay on. I zip tied it, and it's just not, there's no barb on that line. Maybe if I give myself a new chunk of it, maybe that'll work better. A little bit of hairspray ought to help. New chunk of line, some hairspray, and a zip tie. I need this intake air temperature sender plugged in, so I just took that tube. I'm going to see if this thing runs after I get it hooked up enough. I went to Maynard's and got a couple of these from the electrical section. That should work. Hopefully that won't vibrate too much. I want to plug in my front oxygen sensor. My rear one I can't. And it's about 2 inches too short. It's wired. Now I got this piece of ridiculous with the eBay turbo kit, and this is for my intake, and it's only 2.5 inch, and the turbo inlet is 3 inch. So they want me to find a 2.5 inch air cleaner because it didn't come with an air cleaner, and apparently I'm supposed to stick this in here like this or something. I don't like it, not even a little bit. So I went on eBay and I found this. This is a cold air intake setup. It came with an air cleaner for like 25 bucks, and it's for a Chrysler 300C, and it's 3-inch. And I cut a little bit off of the end so it fits better, and I crimped this. I did that myself with an electrical wire crimper. I'll have to do that with some more pipe too that I'm doing. And it seems to fit a lot better in here, just like this. Kind of got a coolant hose in my way. There, just like that. That's how I want it. And they gave me this too, and this is a bunch of cheap. This thing will tear real easy. I found this 3-inch radiator hose, 3-foot chunk at Axeman Surplus. It was actually really cheap. So I'm going to cut a chunk of this off and use that, because that's the only piece of 3-inch that I use. It was only like 8 bucks. Oh, it's $4.95. Yeah, so it was 5 bucks. Where are you going to find a deal like that? So I'm going to cut this hose and put it on there and get an air cleaner on here. I think I could actually plug in my battery and start this thing and make sure it runs. I'm going to think about it for a little bit. I got to hook my throttle up. That's about it. Yeah, I bought this kit too because I needed an air filter. And this is a good high flow filter. I mean, it ought to work fine. It's glued down real nice. I don't think it's going to come apart. So yeah, and a Hemi is like 370 horse. So this should flow just fine. Came with a bag of brackets and parts and a hose too. I got to put my wastegate on. Cheap piece of crap gasket I'm not going to like at all. Yeah, I'm changing my mind. I'm not even going to use a gasket on this thing. How's it going to blow out if it's not there? Okay, this is a part where I get crap loads of anxiety because I get to start it and see if it runs. I think it's all there. I think I need a muffler. That sounds pretty good. Get some fresh air in here. I got this thing up to operating temperature now. I tried to run it out of gas before I built this thing so I could put E85 in it. I still had a little bit in here. The gas light literally just came on. I got to check engine light because I took the rear oxygen sensor out. When I put my new computer in, I'm not going to be using it. It's carrying good oil pressure. That's fine for an idle. It's idling a little low right now too. When I blip the throttle and let off, there's a little laggy in it and it wants to die. So it ain't right. That's just water vapor. Yeah, I do this just to hook up my front oxygen sensor because the wires were a little short. I just wanted to run it for now. I'm going to end up putting a wideband in that spot. Still got a lot of wiring and screwing around to do with this thing. Can't say I'm not satisfied so far. It's not pluming smoke out of the exhaust or anything. Nice and clean. That's all I'm going to do for today. Okay, bye.